Hey there, Skeleton Key here, back from oblivion. I don't know. Uh, it has been a minute. Maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't. I don't know. But yeah, I think the last time I did posted anything, it was for SB in August. And I did SB in August, and I do want to talk about it. But yeah, anyway, I'm back. And welcome back to my channel. And I highly doubt that anyone is going to be watching this live, because I just, like, 20 minutes ago, it's like, oh hey, let's go ahead and do this thing, because I've only got a few hours left to vote on the 2025 Goodreads Choice Awards long list. So if you do happen to come in live, you can comment on my choices, or you can answer questions I have about books. But if you don't catch this live, which you probably won't, and you are watching this on the replay, feel free to go down into the comment section and respond, and then hopefully I can follow up shortly with the shortlist reaction. But for now, I'm gonna go through the long list. Partially out of FOMO. It's like I've been watching everyone else's videos about, the reactions to the Choice Awards and everything, and various rants about how awful they are. And yeah, they are. I don't feel like I have anything to add to that. I think everything that needs to be said has been said. Yeah, so go. If that's what you're looking for, go watch some other videos. You'll find it. And I just will say that I agree with most, if not all, of them. Let's see. So yeah, I was just, it's like, I did go ahead, and you'll see I've already voted. So this is not a cold reaction at all. I've been watching the videos. I've been going through, making some votes, trying to see if I can get some last minute reading in to maybe make some other votes. Yeah, we'll take a look and see. And I just, FOMO. I was like, yeah, I ought to do something. And also, just so that I have a record of the long list, I just, I was like, do I want to, like, type out the entire long list or anything? No, I don't. I don't want to do that. So this is my personal record that I can refer to as to which ones, had interesting covers, especially the ones that, because a lot of the ones that I am interested in probably will not make the top 10 in their category. So, oh well. I figure this is as good a way as any to get that. So now, okay, so it has been a while since I've been in here, and the first thing they did was throw at me a bunch of, oh, watch this video to see these new features. And I'm like, oh, no. So I have not watched any of the videos about the new features. Most of them I don't, because I use the free version of StreamYard. So I don't have access to most of these features. A few of them I do, and I used one of them. But anyway, so let's see. They've moved the buttons, and let's see if I still know how to share a screen. Let's do this. Present. Share screen. Okay. That should do it. Okay, good. You should be able to see what I am doing. I do not have two monitors. I do have one big ass monitor, but I do not have two monitors. So clicking back and forth between windows is a thing. And let's see. So readers' favorite books of 2025. Oh, these are nominees on my shelves. I have more. So I've got 3 hours and 12 minutes. Can I do this? Yes. All right, well, start with fiction. I do not read a lot of literary fiction, just general fiction. And obviously the one I voted for had a mystery involved. So yeah, I'm a mystery girly. I'm a genre girly. This had enough genre feel to it that I really enjoyed it. I've got some quibbles. I love this book though. Just some minor quibbles, and I've heard a lot of the criticisms of this book, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I get the criticisms, and if I had been in a different headspace while reading it, I might have even agreed with those criticisms. Yeah, I believe they are fair criticisms. So yeah, but I think this is probably going to go through to the top 10. What do I think will win? I don't know. Let's see. We'll just take a look at each of them. I have started What We Can Know by Ian McEwan. I think that's one of the Late Show, Stephen Colbert's Late Show picks. It's a book club pick, a celebrity book club pick of some sort. And I did get started on it, but I obviously have not finished it in time, and did not expect to finish it in time to vote. So who knows? Maybe I'll finish it in time for the second round. And People Like Us, I believe, is another Late Show pick. I have not started it. I think I just got the hold on Libby, but I have not started it, so I don't even know what to expect from this riveting new novel. Author of Hell of a Book, People Like Us. Oh, wait. Bestseller, Hell of a Book. There needs to be punctuation in here. This is confusing. Jason Mott's electric new novel. Not memoir. Okay. I have no idea what this is about, but I plan to read it. I've heard good things about the names, but I just remember thinking it didn't sound interesting to me. Most of these, when I've looked at them, I'm like, oh, it's contemporary lit fic, whatever. I've never read anything by Ellen Hildebrand, and this one I think actually looked a little interesting to me. So maybe I'll pick that one up. I have read one Frederick Bachman book that was Beartown. Enjoyed is not really the word I would use for that, but I appreciated it. I thought it was very well done. And then I read a short story by him that I can see how a lot of people love it. It was that Amazon freebie thing. The answer is no, or something like that. Anyway, I did not click with it. And at the very end, I was like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah, that was kind of interesting. But so I have had a mixed experience with Frederick Bachman. I do have A Man Called Ove, and that is actually, I think the Bookworm Club is reading that for the next meeting. So I will probably be reading that next month. I may or may not get around to My Friends at some point. Don't know. I've heard mixed things about The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. I think it got nominated for a bunch of stuff. Yeah, and it's things like Booker Prize, I forget what all, but a bunch of lit fic awards that I'm like, whatever. I did start reading We All Live Here. The one Jojo Moyes book I've read, I did not, I had issues with it. Let's just say that. I actually thought it was an entertaining read on a certain level, but yeah, it was the Me Before You or something like that, and the beginning of that series. And I take exception to a lot of things that the author did in that book. Let's just leave it at that. I think I've probably commented in a video specifically, but I don't want to get into that right now. We All Live Here. I started it for a book club. It seemed kind of interesting. I might get back to it. I don't know. I soft DNF'd it. I didn't like put it down and go, oh my God, I'm not picking that back up. I might pick it back up. Who knows? But I'm not going to vote on it because, well, I've already voted on Wild Dark Shore. The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. I've marked it as one to read because I keep hearing good things about this author and this book in particular. I don't know. It just doesn't sound interesting to me. None of his stuff sounds interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe, but I've said that about authors before, and sometimes I was right. I try one of their books and I'm like, oh no, I was right. I'm not interested in this. And then other times I'm like, wow, new favorite author. Who knew? So I don't know. I will probably try an Ocean Vuong book at some point in the next year or so, but no promises. Do not know anything about a guardian and a thief. Remember seeing something that indicated this. Okay, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo meets First Lie Wins. I've not read either of those books. Electric, voice-driven debut novel about an elusive best-selling author who something. That I might be interested in at some point. It sounds kind of interesting. That's all I can say. Let's see. Wild Dark Shore, I loved. The Correspondent. Now, this does sound interesting. It's epistolary. I'm kind of a sucker for epistolary. Sybil van Antwerp has used letters to make sense of the world and her place in it. And she writes letters. And so, yeah, that might be a really cool read. Cursed Daughters by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I do want to read this. Young woman must shake off a family curse and the widely held belief that she is the reincarnation of her dead cousin. I loved, what is it? My Sister is a Serial Killer. Yeah, My Sister the Serial Killer. I love that book. So I am definitely looking forward. This is one that I wish I had had time to read because... And I hadn't really heard any buzz about it. I don't know when it was released. Just says 2025. I think this must have come out fairly recently because I have not actually heard people talking about this. But it sounds awesome, and I might have actually voted for it instead of Wild Dark Shore. But I don't know. 3 Days in June by Ann Tyler. I think I've tried to read an Ann Tyler book, and it just... I mean, the writing was fine, but I was just like, I need a dead body or a jewel heist or something. Give me something. What is it? Socially awkward mother of the bride navigates the days before and after her daughter's wedding. No. All right, so I've got my vote in for that. Historical fiction. I do enjoy a good historical fiction. Problem is, it's super hit or miss. What is good and what is just awful? And it seems like popularity or high ratings is not necessarily a good indicator. Anyway, and I have not voted. So let's see. Have I read any of these? I have not read any of these. So now the question, do I vote on a book I haven't read? If I'm going by cover, The Amalfi Curse, I do have a copy of this now. So I ought to change that to, anyway, it's on my want to read. It used to be that you could look at my want to read shelf, and those were books that I did not have and that I was actively looking for. And then I had an obtained shelf, and then once I got it, then I would move it to obtained. And I try to keep up with that, but I have been doing a really crappy job of that. So, let's see. Let's just go back up to the top. The Secret Book Society. I mean, title, yeah, I'm in. I don't know anything about it. But it says Secret Book Society. And it's a pretty cover with a gold foil book. I'm gonna read it, or at least try. What is it? 4.08. Madeline Martin, set in Victorian London, Forbidden Book Club, Dangerous Secrets, Women Who Want to Break Free. Yeah, I'm in. This Strangers in Time title, cover, yeah, I'm in. I don't think I've ever read anything by David Baldacci, or Madeline Martin for that matter. Amity by Nathan Harris. Brother and sister emancipated from slavery, still searching for true freedom. Deserts of Mexico. Escaping. Let's see. That might be good. Certainly not going to rule that one out. The Bright Years, don't know anything about that. One Family, 4 Generations, A Secret Son, A Devastating Addiction. Addiction tales, I don't find them interesting. Sometimes if it's in the story, I'm just like, okay, if it's a sidebar kind of, that's fine. But if they put it actually in the description of the book, I'm less likely to be interested in it. And it's nothing against addiction stories or people who read addiction stories. I'm glad they exist for the people who need or want to read those. I certainly think that's valid, but it's just not my bailiwick. The Book Club for Troublesome Women. I have heard good things about this. Another secret book club. Yay. So I will probably pick that up. It will probably wind up in a book club at some point. Junie, I've heard really good things. I've heard a few people say they didn't like it, but yeah, a young girl must face a life-altering decision after awaking her sister's ghost. Okay. Like I said, I've heard good things. The Hounding. It's an interesting cover. Don't know anything about it. The Crucible meets the Virgin Suicides. In this haunting debut about 5 sisters in a small village in 18th century England whose neighbors are convinced they're turning into dogs. That could be really good. And I have heard good things. Isola, I actually have a copy of this. And yeah, there you can see I have my little obtained tag. Yeah, I need to go through and be better about that. Let's see. A young woman and her lover are marooned on an island in this epic saga of love, faith, and defiance. I've never read anything from this author, Marie Bostwick. Don't know that. No, wrong thing. Allegra Goodman is the author. Still have not read anything by Allegra Goodman. But it just sounded really intriguing. And I had hoped to get to it before voting came around. I have started on The First Witch of Boston. I think that was an Amazon First Reads book some months ago. And so I have that. I have started. I don't know if I'm far enough into it to say if I would vote for it or not. I have a feeling I might not be voting for anything on this page. Kristen Harmel, The Stolen Life, obviously set in Paris. Let's electrifying new novel. I have no idea what this is about. Stolen Life of Colette Marceau. That color is a choice. I won't say I dislike it, but that's a color. Wow. All right, The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. Utterly addictive new novel. I have read Fiona Davis. I don't remember what. Was it the Lions of... Was it the one set in the library? I think that was Fiona Davis. Oh, anyway, glamorous part, New York City's most glamorous party to the labyrinth streets of Cairo and back. That could be interesting. And if I recall correctly, the Fiona Davis novel I read, I did enjoy. Good Dirt. Okay, so Charmaine Wilkerson wrote Black Cake, and I listened to that on audio, and at the end of the audiobook, they had a sample chapter or two, I think, of Good Dirt. And I listened to that, and I thought, oh yeah, I think I'll read the rest of it eventually. But eventually has not happened yet. So I probably will read that. It seemed fine and interesting. I've heard that it's not as good as Black Cake, though. So, but, different people have different opinions. Okay, Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Reese's book club pick. I don't know. Reese, do we get along? I ought to do sort of an analysis of, because I end up reading a lot of celebrity book club picks, and not consistently, but it'll be interesting to see what I've thought of the varying book club picks that I have just happened to read. Unforgettable story of love, loss, and the choices that shape our lives. God, that sounds really boring, actually. I don't know. It might actually be very interesting. I have heard lots of people, even people I would not expect to even pick up a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel, just gushing about this. So my guess is this is going to win. I will be shocked if it doesn't make the top 10. I will probably be shocked if it doesn't win. Taylor Jenkins Reid is, a Goodreads darling. And I don't know. I have read one Taylor Jenkins Reid novel. It was fine. Wasn't crazy about it. I'm certainly not going to give up. And since I've had so many people recommend this, I probably will read it. It's not high on my priorities list right now. Hey, The Lilac People, for readers of All the Light We Cannot See, which I did love, and In Memoriam, which I'm not sure. I've read a book called In Memoriam, I believe, but I'm pretty sure it's not what they're talking about here. Moving and deeply humane story about a trans man who must relinquish the freedoms of pre-war Berlin to survive first the Nazis and then the Allies? I don't know. That could be interesting. Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. Epic and intimate tale of one couple across 60 years as world events pull them together and apart, illuminating the Chinese diaspora. Maybe. And that's what A Good Morning America. I think I have actually had a pretty good time with their picks, at least some of them. I don't know. Like I said, I should do sort of an analysis of that and have some actual data to look at. Amalfi Curse. Well, this one's favorite cover. I adore this cover, and this I have the hardcover, and it's got the stenciled edges. I'm a sucker for stenciled edges. I had originally not planned to read it because Sarah Penner's first book, The Lost Apothecary, I read it, and even though it was the only book I had read in the historical fiction category that year, I did not vote for it because I only gave it 3 stars. It was okay, but it was just okay. yeah, and it was a dual timeline, and the modern timeline I kind of hated. And I was not impressed. And so I wasn't going to read The Amalfi Curse, but then I read the other one, and now that I'm blanking on the title, but I read it for a book club and really enjoyed it, and her writing had improved immensely. So I was like, yeah. And I mean, with that cover, I, yeah, I will be reading The Amalfi Curse. What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown. Not familiar with that author? A teenage girl breaks free from her father's world of isolation in this exhilarating novel of family, identity, and the power we have to shape our own destinies. That doesn't excite me. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound like a Stina book. But who knows? Buckeye by Patrick Ryan. One town, two families, a secret that changes everything. A small town novel of epic proportions, says Tom Perrotta. Maybe? I don't know. That doesn't really tell me much. The Lost Story of Eva Fuentes by Chanel Clayton. A mysterious book with a legacy spanning from the beginning of the 20th century to the present day unites three women in this unforgettable novel. New York Times bestselling author. Never heard of her, but hey, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Maybe. Who knows? Should I vote? Well, the only one I even started on is The First Witch of Boston. It's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm not very far in, but it seems fine. I'm going to go ahead and vote. There we go. I'm tempted to, The Amalfi Curse, just that cover. That's not how I want to do things. Mystery and thriller. Now, this should be my category, and I've seen other booktubers talking about how mystery and thriller need to be separate categories, and I wholeheartedly agree. Why they are not, I don't. Because, and I don't know, I feel kind of like the thrillers have been getting samey, and they're geared towards a much younger audience. That they have different priorities, I guess, in their lives, and that's fine. But also I'm like, there were people like 70 years ago who did this and did it better. But that's not to say that I haven't found some books actually really worthwhile. Like We Are All Guilty here. This was an interesting one. I'm trying to think. I think I have read Karen Slaughter before, but I couldn't tell you what. And I did really, really like this book. It was, and I think I gave it 5 stars. I can't remember. It was like, on like the story graph, I probably gave it like 4.5. Because there were some pacing issues that I didn't dislike. They didn't like pull me out of the story exactly, but they were unexpected, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I have not decided yet what I think of them, and that could be influenced by the fact that I listened to the audiobook. I might have a different opinion or feeling about that if I had read it in text form. So I don't know, but that's what I voted for, because and I highly recommend it. It's now check trigger warnings. Basically anything in mystery and thriller, check trigger warnings, because things get really, yeah. Even something, and I have not read The Impossible Fortune. I am behind on this series. I have started the one before it, The Last Devil to Die, I think. So I am behind on that, but even this kind of cozy series, it's not a true cozy, but it has definite cozy vibes. Even the cozies, sometimes they'll be dealing with grief, or you know family drama stuff that yeah, check trigger warnings. Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man, so sequel to the first Vera Wong book. I loved the first Vera Wong book, but in retrospect, I kind of go back and it's like, I probably shouldn't have rated it as highly as I did. And I do sometimes I will go back and adjust ratings up or down, depending on, after I've let things sit for a while. And and sometimes I'll rate it before I really listen to other people. And then, so I rated it a good week or two before I went to the book club for it. And then, they were pointing out things. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you've got a good point there. And so, yeah, I probably should adjust that rating down a little bit, but it was a very fun ride. So I probably will get to this one eventually. I didn't really feel like it needed a sequel. I didn't think it needed to be a series, but obviously, yeah, she intended it as a series. And I don't think I've read anything else by this author. I think she did Dial A for Aunties, and I have not read that yet. Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben, Gone Before Goodbye, and I think this is a recent one. Instant #1 New York Times bestseller. Sorry, that's not a selling point for me. That just means that somebody in publishing spent enough money on marketing. That's all that means. So that's not a selling point for me. Unforgettable suspense novel. I swear I've read something by Harlan Coben, but I can't remember what, and I can't remember if I liked it or not. Reese Witherspoon, I'm like, okay, is she how? I mean, obviously Harlan Coben is the author, and so, but I'm curious to know, because it's different in every situation. I'm curious to know how much input she had into the book, or if her name is just there to sell books. I don't know. I'll wait and hear what others have to say about it before I do anything with that. I did start reading Beautiful Ugly for a book club. Softy enough. I might get back to it. I have just recently started The Intruder by Frida McFadden. So far, it is considerably better than the only other Frida McFadden I have read, and that was The Gift, which was a Christmas short story, sort of a riff on The Gift of the Magi. And it was a neat idea, but the execution was really poor. So far, this is interesting. I'm willing to give her a shot. Let's see. You Killed Me First by John Mars. I'm currently reading the second book in the Dark Future series, something like that. I read the one for a book club some years ago, and it was entertaining, but I thought it was pretty predictable, and I had some issues with some of the concepts. I don't want to say anything else without being spoilery. And then now I'm reading The Passengers. Library yanked it back. I had like a couple hours left. I was like, okay, fine. So I've got to wait till Libby drops that in my box again. And it's interesting, but I think you should go find the story Stet by Sarah Gailey. I think it's probably still up on, I read it on a website. I don't think it was Tor's website. It was in a magazine, an online magazine. And now I'm blanking on which magazine, but Sarah Gailey and Stet, S-T-E-T is the name of the story. And do read it online because it has hyperlinks. It's very clever. It's a lot of the same subject matter as The Passengers. The Passengers, I feel like, is a combination of Stet, the movie Speed, and V for Vendetta, if you can imagine that combo. Anyway, let's see. I need some water. Yeah, I'm still having problems with my voice, so. And I think that is just going to be a thing for a while and may never go away. But anyway, so John Mars, I still don't know how I feel. It depends. Does The Passengers, does it stick the landing? I'm inclined to just not read any more John Mars, because even in this one that I'm appreciating a lot of things about it, I still feel like it's just a little too over the top for me. But we'll see. We'll see how he ends it. But I did not have any I did not feel any compulsion to read You Killed Me First. And I don't even know if it's in that series or if it's a standalone. Oh, it's 5 November. What were you saying about V for Vendetta? All right. Lisa Jewell, Don't Let Him In. I've tried Lisa Jewell. I'm not impressed. The Impossible Fortune, I will read after I finish. I've already bought a copy on audiobook because it'll be sometime next year before I would get a library copy. So I went ahead and got the audiobook. Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. 22 years ago, Claire Campbell's older sister, Natalie, disappeared shortly after her 18th birthday. Days later, her blood was found in a car. A man was arrested, and the case was swiftly... whatever. Cold Case. I'm a sucker for cold case. Trying to think. Stacey Willingham. I think I've read something by her, and I can't remember if I liked it or not. So it'll probably depend on how I felt about that. I'll have to look that up and see. The Widow by John Grisham. I have read some John Grisham. Not a lot. I have mixed feelings about his stuff, and I've heard this is supposed to be just a regular mystery, not like a legal thriller kind of thing. Lawyer in rural Virginia, making just enough to pay his bills while his marriage slowly falls apart. I really don't want to read about that. Then into his office walks Eleanor Barnett, an elderly widow in need of a new will. I don't think I want to read that. Famous Last Words, I started it. I actually started that one twice. But it's a softie enough. I do want to get back to it. It's a very intriguing premise. New mother's world upended when her husband commits a terrifying crime. Yeah, so far it's interesting. I'm told that it does weird things with the pacing, but obviously I'm not necessarily against that. The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. I read this. I still don't know what I think of that ending, and of course I'm not going to talk about it. It's a cold case, unsolved disappearances. Their sisters join forces to go find out what happened. It's very interesting. I still don't know what I think of the ending. Yeah. Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. I have not read anything by Geneva Rose, so that's not any comment on the author or her work. I don't know anything, but it's just the title. King of Ashes. This is another one where I listened to the free sample at the end of All the Sinners Bleed, I think. Anyway. And yeah, it was intriguing. And it's like, yes, I want to read the rest of that. The Ghostwriter. I started it for a book club, and I have a copy of it, and I want to finish it. And there was no way I was going to finish it in time to vote. So I went ahead and voted on We Are All Guilty here because I felt like, yeah, that's a solid vote. Not Quite Dead Yet, Holly Jackson. I don't think I've read any Holly Jackson. I think this is in a series. No? It's not. Okay. Just a thriller about a young woman trying to solve her own murder. Interesting. In 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. I kind of don't care about wealthy families. I mean, Knives Out, that kind of thing, that kind of setup, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, as soon as you start talking about billionaires and stuff like that, I'm just like, I'm not a fan. Heartwood. I've heard good things about this. Journey as a search and rescue team race against time when an experienced hiker mysteriously disappears on the Appalachian Trail in Maine. Might be good. Another Frida McFadden. In general, I'm skeptical of Frida McFadden books just based on the one experience I've had. We'll see. I mean, obviously, at least one of her books will make it through to the top 10. I don't know what I think will win. Dan Brown? Oh my God. I have thoughts, and I just don't feel like sharing them right now. That's just the whole thing. Who do I think will win? I mean, the thing is, I'm guessing 2 of Frida's will make it through, which could potentially split the vote for her. I don't know. I mean, Dan Brown, 3.99, 64,000 and some ratings. It was just out recently. The 6th book in a series. I don't know what his popularity level is really like these days, though. I mean, does he still have hardcore fans, or are people just kind of, whatever, oh, it's another Dan Brown? I don't know. Tell me what you think. But I kind of hope S.A. Cosby gets it. I will be very surprised if We Are All Guilty here does not go through to the top 10, but I don't really expect it to win. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, although it does seem to, I mean, it's got a 4.27 average rating with 64,000 and some ratings. So, I mean, that's strong. What's King of Ashes here? 4.05 with 40,000 ratings. I'm scared to look at Frida's. The Tenant. Oh my God, 474, almost 475,000 ratings, but it's only a 3.83 average. I feel like there's a lot of Frida backlash these days. 3.69 average. 504,000 some ratings. I know this has got a lot of buzz, but it's not, it's down there like 65,000 ratings. Where's The Intruder? Intruder was in this category, right? Yeah, there it is. Only 164,000 ratings. Okay. But a 3.92 average, so fewer people reading it. But a higher average rating. I don't know. Lisa Jewell is a darling, though. I personally have not really cared for her stuff. And then, John Grisham's back. Who knows? Yeah, this is a really wild field. I have no idea what's going to happen there. But yeah, if at least one Frida McFadden book doesn't make it through to the top 10, that will be bizarre. and she probably has a good chance of winning, even splitting votes. Romance. I am not typically a romance reader, at least not like, just romance for the sake of romance. I'm just like, whatever. And especially, I'm not a fan of lots of spice or steaminess and stuff like that. I'm like, whatever. And of course, there's romance, there's romantasy, and Goodreads categories are just whack. They are just absolutely nuts. Like I have been told that The Favorites is not a romance book. It has a romance in it, but it is not a romance book. Maybe. I have not read it. I don't know. But I've heard people complaining that it got put in the romance category. I'm looking at these, and a lot of it, this one I think is about billionaires. I'd always dreamed of my wedding day. Yeah. And some of these look like they might be kind of okay. Now, Abby Jimenez, I actually finally read one of hers, and I really enjoyed it. But I didn't read this one because I'm like, oh, I need to read things in order. I have to read series in order, and I read the first book out of order. So now I need to go back to the beginning of the series and start from there. And I know you don't have to, but I have to. So I will probably get to this one eventually, but yeah, not gonna vote on it now. Or well, maybe I will. I don't know. And I've never read any Bryn Weaver, but I just saw that. Okay, so this is by Bryn Weaver too. This series has not looked interesting to me. The Ruinous Love trilogy is like this dark romance. I'm just it sounds, I don't know. All of these dark romance and romantasy things, they sound like really super needy and oh, I'll do anything to get him to love me. Yeah. Just and sports romance, I'm not really. Oh, this looks kind of cute. He's on edge while she's on point. Dating sports romance from the author, a fake dating sports romance. I might actually read that. It's the second in the series though, so now I got to go back and figure out what the first book in the series is. And I don't know anything about this author. Ball Cabra? Don't know. Newly drafted hockey player for the Toronto Thunder. Hockey is cool. But I don't know. This just, Welcome to Cape Carnage, the Seasons of Carnage trilogy. I don't know. That just makes me want to vote for it just because it's like that, even though I was just railing against the whole dark romance thing, but who knows? Tour season. That could be entertaining and that could be kind of gross. I don't know which it is. Am I going to vote for anything on here? No, I'm just going to skip it. I do not feel any investment in any of these. Romantasy. I have read the first book in this series, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. I've read the first book. I've not read the second book yet, so obviously I haven't read the third book yet. I loved the first book. It's, again, there were things that people pointed out in book club that I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, I'm also not into the whole Draco Hermione fanfic thing, and I have heard absolutely awful things about Alchemized, and Yeah, I don't want to get death threats either, so I'm just gonna that. Yeah, I just think it sounds like an awful idea, but for a book, I'm not into any of that. And all of these samey covers, I'm just like, that looks like an interesting cover. Sulin Tan, immortal. As the heir to Chansha, Yin knows she must ascend the throne and renew her kingdom's pledge to serve the immortals who once protected them from a vicious enemy. Poisoned, so maybe she's immortal. I don't know. I don't know. Lately, I've been bouncing off of things that are about, kingdoms and, saving the throne or saving the princess or stuff like that. I'm just like, and I'm not saying that's a reflection on the works. It's just, I'm at a time in my life where that just doesn't really appeal to me. Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I really enjoyed the first book. That was in the, really strong 4-star, almost 5-star category for me. It was just really cute, really sweet. So I will probably, of anything on this page, this and Compendium of Lost Tales, those are the ones I am likely to read at any point in time. The others just are not speaking to me at all. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for this, because I figure that's what I'll get to next on this page. Fantasy. Love me a good fantasy. Have I actually read any of these? Apparently not, because I didn't vote. I have some of them. Oh gosh, this is going to be tough. I have Catabasis or Catabasis or I don't know how that's pronounced. R.F. Kuang's latest. Have not started it yet. I want to read The Incandescent, but I don't have it yet. I plan to read King of Sorrow for a book club, but that's probably not my go-to style of fantasy. So I've loved everything I've read from Alex E. Harrow, so I'm looking forward to reading that, but I don't have it yet. I don't think I've read any Joe Abercrombie. I think I tried once, and it was like very grimdark, and I'm not sure he's for me. I've heard a lot of people gushing about the Raven Scholar, and then I've heard not a lot. I've heard some backlash against the Raven Scholar, so I don't know what to think of it. I will probably read it and make up my own mind at some point. The River Has Roots, I've heard really good things about, and that's by Amal El-Motar. What I've read from her, I've enjoyed. Hemlock and Silver, T. Kingfisher, I have it. I have not started it. This looks really cool. I'm really interested in reading this. Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. I don't think I've read any Stephanie Garber, but that looks really interesting. Brigands and Bread Knives. I've loved the first 2 books in this series. I plan to read this one. Don't have it yet. I've heard mixed views on Water Moon. I still have not read The Will of the Many, so I have no opinions whatsoever on the Strength of the Few. The Society of Unknowable Objects. Don't know anything about that. That looks kind of wild. The cover. Oh, author of the Book of Doors, which I've heard very good things about. Standalone novel. Members of a Secret Society. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I am a V.E. Schwab fan. I've heard people say this is not... I don't think I've heard anyone say this is their favorite V.E. Schwab. I've heard a lot of good reviews, but not, I really like this, but no, oh my God, I love this reviews. So, but I will probably read it eventually because I like V.E. Schwab stuff. Sirens by Amelia Hart. Sisters separated by hundreds of years, but bound together in more ways than they can imagine. So maybe a dual timeline. Don't know. Could be interesting. I have not read The Tainted Cup yet, so I can't say anything about A Drop of Corruption. And A Resistance of Witches. I've heard good things about this. It sounds really interesting. World War II Resistance with witches. I think that sounds cool. Oh gosh. T. Kingfisher only has one thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think T. Kingfisher is probably my favorite author right now. So I'm voting for T. Kingfisher. Science fiction. I have not voted yet. I know I finished one. Okay, so I've heard mixed reviews on Death of the Author by Nydia Corafor. I will probably read that eventually. Of Monsters, I've heard wildly opposing opinions on Of Monsters and Mainframes, so that's one that I'm just going to have to read for myself and see what I think. Automatic Noodle, that's another one. I've heard wildly differing opinions, so I don't know. I think we've been here before. End of the World Predicted, Reality Bins. Quirky and heartwarming novel about human connection and the meaning of life and death. That could be good. So this is the only one I've read. And Scalzi's got 2 books on here. The other one is it's the most recent and maybe even the final book in the Old Man's War series. I am way behind on the Old Man's War series, so I can't say anything about that. I'm probably going to end up voting on this. It was entertaining, but I mean, what is it? The Shattering Peace is probably a much better book. It's 4.28 average rating. It only came out recently, so it's only got 4,000 and some ratings, but so that one might not even make it into the top 10, but I have started reading Hemorrhaging Luck. I'm enjoying it so far. But I haven't finished it yet. I hard DNF'd the Poppy Fields. It's just not, I think this author and this style of writing, this style of, I don't know, sort of near future or alternate future, I don't know how to describe it, but the style that Nikki Erlich writes is just not for me. I know a lot of people love her stuff. That's fine. I DNF the first book. It's a soft DNF. I kind of want to finish that one. It's like The Measure or something like that. Because it puts me in mind a little bit of the Machine of Death stories. And I kind of want to see where it goes with this premise. I don't expect to really enjoy the book, but I kind of want to see where it goes. Which is not the same as saying, I really want to read that book. And then most of these others I have not really heard much about. I'll take a look. I know people who love The Dream Hotel. It doesn't quite sound like a book I'd enjoy, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. I love Adrian Tchaikovsky's stuff. He writes some pretty weird shit, I'm telling you. But I have not read this one yet. I'm sure we have it we have just about everything he's written, I think. Same with Scalzi. I've heard good things about Salt Crop, but a lot of these I don't really know much about. But the only one I've read is When the Moon Hits Your Eye. I enjoyed it. I don't really think of it as an award-winning book. I don't think it'll make it to the top 10. But here's my vote. Go, John. Okay, so I voted for Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. That was an amazing book. I think it might even have a chance of winning. I hope it does. I started The Bewitching, haven't finished it yet. I've got a library copy. Sylvia Marina Garcia is pretty, let me say, miss or hit for me. I think the highest rating I've given her was like a 3.5 star rating. We'll see. I mean, her stuff is intriguing, but then I feel like she just doesn't hit the mark for me. Let's see. I need to speed this up because 1, my voice is not doing great, and 2, I've been at this for more than an hour. I finally read an Isabel Cañas book that was The Vampires of El Norte. Really enjoyed that. That was fun. Yeah, the romance stuff, it was very romance forward, and the romance stuff was very what you'd expect. I enjoyed it, but just be prepared. If you're there for the vampires and not the romance, you're probably going to be disappointed. Or you may just, go, oh, hey, there's romance too. Yay. Let's see. Oh, Darcy Coates. I've read 1 Darcy Coates. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was really, great quality, but it was a fun ride. So let's see. Hungerstone. I don't know. I think that's on a book club next year. I know. I think We Love You, Bunny just dropped on Libby for me, so I'll probably be reading that soon. Yeah, and I just watched Ellen Made Book Club. Her Ellen's book club there. She did on her channel. She did sort of a review and shared some thoughts from some other booktubers. Yeah, go check that out. I think that's going to help me manage expectations for reading We Love You, Bunny. I will be kind of, I don't think it's going to go through to the top 10 because I think most of us who loved Bunny think that it didn't need a sequel or a prequel, or this is a prequel sequel all rolled into one, and it's a very strange thing, and a lot of people are like, yeah, thank you, we didn't want this, but fine. What is it? What rating? It's 3.64, which is not great. And it only has 6,000 and some ratings. It's fairly recent, but still. I think a lot of people are very wary of it. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, I think will probably make it into the top 10. I DNF'd it, and it's a hard DNF, but that's not any commentary on the quality or anything. It's just, it felt very much like a book that a certain audience would really gravitate towards it or really need to read it, and really get a lot out of it. And I just felt like I was not in that audience. I felt like it's not a book I need to read. I feel like it's great that it's there for its audience, but I am not in that audience. So I was just like, I've got other books to read. And so I sent it back to the library so that it can find its audience. I did read like a free sample of The Buffalo Hunter. I think maybe at the end of an audiobook. I don't know. Maybe not The Babysitter Lives, but the other one. I listened to it on audio. Was it Killer on the Road? I bet that was it. I think it was a sample chapter at the end of Killer on the Road. Killer on the Road, by the way, that was intense, and that was one of the most disturbing things ever, especially since I've driven that stretch of I-80 quite a bit myself, and yeah, yeah, that was pretty scary. When the Wolf Comes Home, Nat Cassidy. I have not actually read any Nat Cassidy yet. I keep meaning to, and then I never get around to it. So I don't know. I have a feeling that's going to be this one in particular is going to be a little bit like Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, that it's important to a specific audience, and I'm not in that audience. It's just my gut feeling. Andrew Joseph White, You Weren't Meant to Be Human. I recently read, where was it? Do I still have it here? I don't know where they did with it. Another book by him, and I'm blanking. The purple cover with the foiling and all that. And I can't remember the title. But anyway, I read that, and it's another one. I mean, so this is horror, right? Yes, we're in horror. And I never really considered myself a horror author, but I swear, most of these books I either have read or I'm planning to read, or I've been going, oh, hey, yeah. But this is my best category, which makes no sense. I'm a mystery girly, but the mystery thriller category has kind of abandoned the whole mystery side of it, and the thriller genre these days is kind of underwhelming. But anyway, we've already talked about that. So, but this, I think, what is it? Identity, Survival, and Transformation Amidst an Alien Invasion in Rural West Virginia. Alien Meets Midsummer. Oh, I think I'm going to have to read this, and it's probably going to be excellent, but because the other book, it was so well done. One of the best books I've read this year, and why can't I think of the name? Anyway. And he writes standalones, so don't worry about reading them in any specific order. Stephen King, Never Flinch. I don't know. Stephen King is very hit or miss for me. But this is a Holly Gibney. So I need to go back to, what is it, Mr. Mercedes or whatever, where she shows up. And my reading of Stephen King has been just very slapdash. So Coffin Moon, Keith Rosson, don't know anything about it. Vietnam veteran and his adopted niece hunt and are hunted by the vampire that slaughtered their family. That sounds like a bit much for me. I don't know, might be good. Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. I did not connect with this the same way I did with Natural Beauty. It felt more disjointed, and maybe it's the whole art school angle, but also it really covers a lot of ground, and I don't know, it felt like it just didn't really bring everything together the way Natural Beauty did. Plain Nice Rachel. I've not read any Rachel Harrison. I have read some Chuck Tingle. I'm behind on my Chuck Tingle reading. Don't have this one yet. I have the one set in LA. I have that one, I think. Blood on Her Tongue. I need to read that soon for a book club. was it Literary Love, I think. And The Lamb. I don't know any. I've heard this is good. Margot and Mama have lived by the forest ever since Margot can remember. Strangers. Maybe a folk horror kind of thing. Don't know. Okay, what am I going to vote? I voted for Bad Eater. Yeah. Excellent book. Really creepy. Really. If you can get. There's a lot of gross out horror in that one. I'm kind of amazed I managed to get through it, but it's a good story too. Debut novel. Oh gosh, I really need to hurry this up. All right. So I'm just going to comment on things that I have something to say about. I've already talked a little bit about some of these. Merge. Yeah. That might be interesting. I don't know. I think I already saw that on another category. Yeah, I know I've seen some of these in other categories. Have I read any of these? I have not. Is there anything I feel like I should just throw my weight behind anyway? No, I don't know most of the, well, I mean, they're debut authors, obviously, so. Wish they could give you like a veto. You could just say any book but this one. Audiobook. Yeah, I have issues with this whole freaking category because I would expect books that get nominated for the audiobook category to have something special about their narration or their production. Like, okay, so I'm guessing this is narrated by the author. This doesn't say. And is this narrated? I can't tell. Read by the author. So Kamala narrates that. So, things that are narrated by the author, memoirs, or if there's something really interesting about the way it's produced that makes it stand out as an audiobook, whereas I don't know how, and I guess they say it has something to do with the audiobook tags, but it's like, I don't think anybody uses those tags the way you think they do Goodreads. But anyway, I think the only one I'd read was We Are All Guilty Here, so I voted for that. And of course, you have the whole Audible original thing and Audible exclusives, and that's a whole nother topic for another day. Readers' favorite young adult fantasy and sci-fi. I don't think I know anything about any of these. I mean, yeah, I've read the main trilogy of Hunger Games, and this one actually sounded interesting, so I might actually read this one. Iron Widow series. I know a lot of people love this series, and it's got a lot of critical acclaim, and I don't know. The first Iron Widow book, though, I noped out of that one. And that's probably just a me thing. Check content warnings. The Otherwhere post, that sounds interesting. I like the cover. That one looks interesting. The House of Fear, Tale of Bluebird, a romantasy murder mystery. So why isn't this in romantasy? Well, because it's YA. That's why. I don't know. But I don't know. I might actually read that one. I'm not a YA or middle grade reader exactly, but and of course they don't have middle grade anymore. So I mean, even though I don't consider myself a middle grade reader, I feel like that's an important category that really needs, there. And I think the people who read middle grade, whether they're middle grade or whether they're adults or children, I think they feel very strongly about those books. So why did you drop that category? The marketing PTBs will have their way. And I'm sorry, these samey covers just annoy me. I don't even want to look at them. Young adult fiction. All right. Tiffany D. Jackson, I have read a book by her and thought it was really well done. So, stunning and ripped from the headlines thriller following a freshman girl whose college life is turned upside down when her roommate ... Mm-hmm. That could be really good. I read the first book in this. This is the sequel to We Were Liars. And I have mixed feelings about it. I enjoyed that book, but recognizing that it was very problematic in some ways, not sure I really need to read a follow-up. This Datings and Dragons by Christy Boyce. I read the first one, which was Dungeons and Drama, and it was really cute. I liked it a lot, and so I might actually vote for that one, because I'm sure I have not read any of these. To any of these others, Fake Skating, that might be cute. I don't know. I feel like I have a Lynn Painter book, but I don't know what it would be. So here we finally have the LGBTQIA plus rep. I don't know exactly what the rep is, but obviously we've got 2 gay couples at least. So yeah, the kids are the kids are all right. All right. But of course those are the books that are being banned. Which yeah, I do have a lot to say about. Tonight is probably not the time to talk about that, but I do want to have, because reading is political. This is your regular reminder that reading is political, and looks like maybe another queer read. And I feel really bad that I've been silent these last few months. And I need to say something. I don't think this will make it through, but to the top 10, but yeah. There's my vote. Just on the strength of the first book in the series. So reader's favorite nonfiction, I voted for The Serviceberry, and this was, I think I've read several of these, maybe? Or maybe that's the only one I've read. Okay, so I do want to I have been meaning to read this for a very long time. Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I watch him a lot on YouTube, and yeah. The Idaho 4. My husband has family in that area, and I don't think I want to read about that. It's too close. Enshittification by Cory Doctorow. And I don't know why I don't have a copy of this. Usually he does a Kickstarter, and I go through the Kickstarter and I get the audiobook for myself and I get the ebook for my husband. But if there was a Kickstarter, I missed it. So I do not have this. I do want to read it though. Abundance, that sounds interesting. Once in a generation paradigm shifting call to rethink big entrenched problems that seem okay. Yeah. So yeah, some of these I will probably try to put forth to the nonfiction book club that I'm in. And let's see, Is a River Alive? That's probably good. Revelatory book that transforms how we look at the natural world and life itself. I do not want to talk about this. The Let Them Theory. Don't want to talk about it. This looked intriguing. I might look at that sometime. I'm guessing this is what's going to win. One day, everyone will have always been against this, and I really want to read this. I just have not got to it. But I'm guessing that's what is going to win. I read this not for my nonfiction book club, but for a different book club, and I just thought this was amazing. I love this book. It's actually pretty short. So I have also read Braiding Sweetgrass by this author. And Braiding Sweetgrass just felt like it went on too long for me. And it could just be a me thing. I don't know. It felt longer than it was. And whereas I feel like The Serviceberry was the perfect length for this kind of book. A bold and inspiring vision for how to orient our lives around gratitude, reciprocity, and community. Yeah, I highly recommend this one. Have I read it? I have not read any of the others. Okay, well, let's move on to memoir. I do want to read Nobody's Girl. I have a feeling that's going to be a really tough one. I will probably do it on audiobook. I'll probably do 107 Days at some point. I do want to read Memorial Days. I've read a few Geraldine Brooks novels by now, and thought they were very well done. So I'm kind of interested. I mean, it's a memoir of, a memoir of sudden loss and a journey to peace, which is not the type of thing I usually gravitate towards, in memoir or not. But there's just something about her writing that makes that appealing to me. And a lot of these I haven't heard. Oh, Tim Curry. Interesting. Oh, I did read Raising Hair. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I know I've marked this as read, and I know I have rated it. I think I rated it 4 stars. I do not understand the fuss. I mean, there's been so much buzz about how amazing and wonderful, and maybe it's just that's from people who didn't grow up with lots of critters around. So I don't know. I mean, I remember when my mom and I rescued a litter of baby possums. And we did pretty quickly turn them over to the wildlife. I don't know what not ranger, but the ranger type person in our area. But he gave us instructions over the phone as to how to keep them alive until he could get out there. But so I'm just like, I don't know, and maybe hares are just that much more difficult to keep alive, which I gather might be the case, because she did talk a lot about how easy it is for a leveret to die. And that I guess it's kind of amazing that she did, manage to keep this one alive to adulthood and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I was not, I won't say I was underwhelmed, but I don't understand the fuss. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written. I thought it was a really good book. But I'm voting for. Oh, I'm not voting. I haven't voted yet. Well, I guess I'm voting for that because I think it's the only one here I've read. Okay, sure. uh, it was good enough. Yeah. I do not think it will win. I think it'll make it through to the top 10. I kind of wonder if Nobody's Girl will win. What is it? Oh, now at this point, I'd have to click through to look at the. Okay. History and biography. Is this the last one? This is the last category. Okay. So I voted for Marriage at Sea, and I read that one for Stephen Colbert's Late Night Book Club. And it was really interesting. I think these people were a little cracked to begin with, because and maybe to be a boat person who would attempt this, yeah, I think you do have to be a little cracked. But it was really interesting, and there's a lot of really gross stuff in here too. Yeah, it's part horror, but it's a worthwhile read. It's a very worthwhile read. I think I know I rated it. I think I gave it 4 stars. Let's see. Anything else? I mean, Ron Chernow, Mark Twain. Actually, I'm interested in Mark Twain, but and I've never read any Ron Chernow, so I don't know. But I mean, Ron Powers has already written a biography of Mark Twain, and I feel like Ron Powers would be better. I don't know. Maybe I should read both of them and see, but Jane Austen's bookshelf seems interesting, but of course, if you're not interested in Jane Austen, that wouldn't interest you. Sisters in Science. Ooh, that sounds interesting. The Cure for Women. Oh, that would probably be very scary read. Most of these I have not really heard much about. Realm of Ice and Sky. Now that cover and title sounds really interesting. National Outdoor Book Award-winning author Buddy Levy? Levy? I don't know how he pronounces it. Thrilling narrative of polar exploration via airship. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to read that one. The Zorg. A tale of greed and murder that inspired the abolition of slavery? Really? Notorious slave ship incident that led to the abolition of slavery in the UK. Huh, that's interesting. Patriarchy's Guide to Silencing Women. Oh dear. I mean, I'm sure that the book is about, against that, but still, that's disturbing. I should probably read that though. Okay, so there we have it. I guess I could clear my vote on any of these. Let's see how much time. Let's go back to the beginning here. 1 hour and 30 minutes. I have cast my votes in most of the categories, and I even read books for most of the categories. Yeah, I'm still kind of amazed that my best was in horror. My best ratio of books read to not read was in horror. That's kind of wild. But okay, stop sharing. And yeah, I've seen a couple people just pop in and out on the little counter up there, but yeah, there are no comments or anything for me to respond to, but yeah, this was kind of fun. I'm glad I did this, and now at least um I have a record of the long list that I can look at and refer back to when they drop. I guess it's tomorrow. They're going to drop the short list, and we'll see if any of my votes made it through to the top 10 in the categories. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, thank you for anyone who decided to hang out with me for any little bit of time. And also, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm happy you made it. And yeah, if you, um, yeah, I'd be really interested to hear, even if it's after the new list has dropped of the top 10, I'd be happy to hear what you voted for, or what your disappointments were, and or what you think about any of the books that I was wondering about. If you have any commentary, please put it in the comments below, and we can keep the conversation going, and maybe I'll be back in a week or so with oh, I forgot to check when the voting ends on the next round, but oh well. But yeah, we can see what we think. But it's been fun. Thank you. And talk at you later.